Hello. So just a couple things about ultrasonics. If you're holding kind of a traditional instrument, your grasp might be holding the instrument more at the junction here, and then you'll have your middle finger helping you lead the instrument. Sometimes it's on the actual shank, sometimes it's going to be a little bit higher, depending on what you're doing. And then there's always a sturdy fulcrum. So same thing applies for ultrasonicking, but you'll typically be holding the instrument just a little bit further away. You don't want to be kind of pinched up here. You run the risk of resting your middle finger on the instrument tip, and you don't want to do that. So in whatever's going to be a comfortable position for you, there's also kind of a balancing technique. You're going to have a cord coming out of here, so you definitely want to be balanced with the instrument, and that helps with stability. So another thing we learned from the George text is that when you begin instrumenting, the key is adaptation. Okay, we know that yes, the different sides have different power, and that the very tip of the tip has the most power. The working end for this instrument, sorry I'm so shaky, is going to be about 2 to 3 millimeters. So if you measure that up with the probe, you'll see about 2 to 3 millimeters is going to be your really most powerful area of the working end of the tip. So about this area. This is also about the distance that we do our channeling, and that is going to be the basis of our working stroke. Okay, so if 2 to 3 millimeters is our working stroke, when we're actually doing our channeling, it's going to be about this distance. Okay, so we're both trying to use about 2-3 millimeters of this tip, and the working and the stroke length is going to be about 2 to 3 millimeters as well. Okay, so what that looks like, let's say on, if I'm over here or somewhere where you could see kind of this angulation, the adaptation is going to be about 15 degrees against the tooth. This really lets you use that 2 to 3 millimeters of the working end on the tooth surface, and you always want to make sure that you are in line with the surface that you're working on, and you want to go to the depth of the pocket, and it's always going to be overlapping. It's going to be slow. About this speed is all you need, and you gotta just let it do the work for you. Okay, you saw me channel out. That's actually not how you're supposed to do it. So let me actually demo how you do it. Okay, so our protocol here, and what's typically recommended is to, if you're given a task, let's say to do the anterior sextant, you would start, still same rules. You can work at 8 o'clock or 12 o'clock for right-handed, or that range like 11 to 1, or you could work at 4 o'clock or 11 to 1 for left-handed clinicians, and you would work from dominant hand to non-dominant hand. Let me get a mirror. So in place of a mirror, if you don't have like an ISOVAC or ISOLIGHT system, you can use your high-speed suction here as you're working. You just have to make sure and be cognizant and take breaks and suction the patient's mouth as you work. So if I'm pretending this is the high speed or high vacuum evacuation system, the HVE, you can have it here retracting the lip, and then you would begin at the distal line angle, and essentially the whole purpose of this is to remove deposits and to reduce the amount of biofilm. So if let's just pretend we're going to start at the gingival margin, and my angulation is going to be about like here, about 15 degrees from the tooth surface, right? And you're going to start your cavitron, the water will go, and then you could begin placing it, and you're going to do these 2 to 3 millimeter strokes, and you're overlapping, and you're entering the pocket, and you keep going until you feel the base of the pocket, and you come on out. Then to finish up this, or to to start this tooth, you're going to work all the way to the contact, but in a channeling kind of apical direction. And then I finish this area, so I'm going to come on out. And you notice I'm laying down on my fulcrum quite a bit. And now, just like in probing, this area is kind of tight with this Typodont, so you can't really see me doing these kind of strokes very well. But I'm pretty much on the distal surface of tooth number 6. I'm trying to get to the base of the pocket, come on out. And just like how you would in probes, you get to the, remember, you get to the contact and then you tilt under the contact to reach the coal. You'd be doing that same idea, but instead we're creating this kind of tilt as an oblique orientation, and we're going to be working the coal area. And we're still making these 2 to 3 millimeters. So above, it's kind of doing this all the way through. This Typodont right here in this particular area is a little tight, so I work here, and then I'm going to come out and I'm going to do this proximal surface so I can get under the contact. So that's part 1, right? Kind of starting with that distal portion of this tooth. Then I'm going to start working in my tooth to tooth sequence, right? So I'm going to work and begin again where I started, but I've already advanced, right? I did this earlier, so now I'm going to be kind of here. And I start my cavitron, the water's going 2 to 3 millimeters, and I'm making sure I'm overlapping, I'm adapted, and I'm trying to get to the space of the pocket. There's a little bit of a bone defect that I can actually see and I feel, and then I come on out. I get readapted. Right now I'm kind of standing up a little bit to get the adaptation correct. And I work all the way down. Come on out. Readapting. I stood up a little bit. And I work all the way down. Come on out. Now I'm ready to get to this coal area. So instead of coming in like this, I turn my instrument to like oblique orientation, and now I can get under that contact. Ooh, I feel some calculus here. If I feel calculus, I'm going to start doing a tap. I'm going to tap it with my tip. Ooh, I feel it burst. So now I'm going to continue my working stroke. Come on out. Because there was calculus there, I might go over this area again. Okay, now it feels really nice and smooth. One more time to help flush out all that debris. Come on out. And now I can do the proximal surface of this mesial tooth. And now the nice thing about this is I'm just going to hop on over and use the back of this instrument instead of the face to get the distal of number 7. And now I can work with my oblique, get that coal area. Come on out. Now I'm working that distal line angle, distal facial line angle. Come on out. So the reason that we come on out and work apically every time is because, as we discussed, this is the most powerful part of the tip, okay? So we essentially want to always move in that direction so that we can start breaking down all of the deposits as we achieve it. If we back out, now if there was a deposit here, say, when I'm backing out, since we have 2 to 3 millimeters of the tip, that kind of 3rd millimeter is going to be what's actually going over that deposit again. That is not the most powerful. So we always want to move tip first in an apical direction to get what we need to get and to break down that deposit the most effective way. And that is going to be the most effective way to accomplish that. So as you saw, just to kind of summarize, we're moving in 2 to 3 millimeter overlapping strokes, nicely adapted to the root or to the tooth surface, depending on where you're working on. And you're always going to work in an apical direction, and you're going to be working in kind of these 2 to 3 millimeter strips going down. And then the different orientations, this is our vertical direct orientation, right? It's vertically aligned with that tooth, and we're making horizontal strokes. And then there was the oblique orientation where we're making oblique strokes. And then there is the horizontal orientation making vertical strokes. Don't overthink it. Just know that you're going to be covering all of these surfaces, and the goal is to stay adapted, work slowly, keep the instrument moving, and always leading with your tip. Okay. All right. So hopefully I didn't take too long on that one. Apologies. It's kind of long-winded. But I just want to make sure everyone had kind of the same info. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.